is everyone doing this morning? It is Tuesday, January the 17th. My name is Jonathan, and I am a teacher for this course. This is PLAR History and Geography. We are here live right now at WASA here in Sulaco. This is week number 7 of this term 1B, which means that we have one more week left after this week. So again, if you want to listen and participate live here in class, simply just call the Wasser Studio at your Learning Center or call in at home. Again, if you have any questions in regards to your assignments, just simply get in touch with me, your teacher, Jonathan, for this course. Again, you can get in touch with me by phone call, email, Facebook. Okay, many ways to get a hold of me if you have any questions in regards to your assignments. Again, view materials, again, always on the archive, always on my YouTube channel as well. And again, if you need any accommodation or modifications, again, just let us know, which I'll do my best to get that to you. Again, if you don't have internet access, just let me know. We can always send you a USB stick with all the lessons and previously recorded lessons to you, to your community, absolutely for free. So again, just let us know if you have any difficulties, any struggles, how you're progressing throughout the course. Just let us know so we can at least help you achieve your goals and at least accommodate in terms of what you need to be successful. So again, I understand that situation arises. We all have busy lives. Our internet may not be working all the time. Our phone might not be working all the time. So again, just let us know if there's anything that we can do to accommodate so that you can be successful. And again, just simply let me know your progress as well. Again, there's so many of you taking this course right now, PLAR History and Geography. You may be taking more than one courses at once. You may be taking another PLAR course or another IL course, again, which is all fantastic. But again, just simply let me know how you're progressing throughout this course. Does everything make sense? Are you having fun? Are you engaging? Are you taking a little break? Um, are you almost at the point in terms of writing your final tests? Again, let me know where you're at. It's all okay if you want to take a break or if you stop for a little while. Just let me know so that I can get a sense of where you're at so that we can move forward as well. So again, really, I would really appreciate that as well. So today's class, we're continuing once again looking at lesson number 5, physical geography in your textbook. We're almost done, like I said. We have this week, Thursday, and next week, Tuesday and Thursday, and then boom, this term is completed. Then we'll have a midweek, and then we'll start a brand new term. Before we begin today's class, just little housekeeping items to share. In terms of community visit, as you have noticed, uh, Doug and I community visit to Big Trout has been postponed until a later date. Again, we're unsure of when we will be coming. It could be perhaps next week, or we can perhaps postpone it until next term. So we'll see how things unfold. Again, apologize to all those who are unfortunate to come. Mish, again, Barry and I are supposed to be going to Mish. We have plans of going to Mish this week, but again, Barry is not feeling too well. He has some cough going on. I think some of his classes are canceled because of that. And again, we're still unsure of when we're going to be going to Mish. The weather this week looks fantastic, so hopefully we can squeeze that in this week. If not, again, we still have next week. We'll see how Barry feels then. We'll see how the weather unfolds. If everything is a-okay in both situations, we will come to host a little open house in Mish. So again, stay tuned to that. I know we're almost at the end of the term, but again, we will be coming at some point. So just keep an eye out on that as well. Again, if anything changes, I will let the class know. I will send an email out to all the DCs, and I will post it on my Facebook style as well. So make sure you check that out. Other than that, that's all I have to share. Again, like I said, continue to work on assignments. Continue to put hard work and details into those. Again, make sure you always check for spelling. Make sure you're always writing full complete sentences with details. All those little checkpoints that I'm looking for so that you can be successful, so that I can get a sense that you're ready for your final assessment once everything's completed. We'll talk more about the final assessment since we're almost at the end next week. But again, if you have any questions in regards to that, just let me know. All right, so today we're looking at climate change. Okay, that's our title for today, climate change, lesson number 5 for this course. We're starting on page 60 in your textbooks. Again, if you have that in front of you, feel free to flip to that page and follow along with us. Highlight, circle, make notes as we go through some of these detailed notes. So let's get to today's class learning goals and our success criteria in terms of what we'll be discussing. So over the next 60 minutes, we will discuss the following. We will learn about the difference between climate change and global warming. And we will be learning about the causes and impact because of global warming. So those are our two main learning goals for today's class. Again, we'll learn about the difference between climate change and global warming. Again, two phrases or words we have seen and heard. So we'll discuss those two and what those mean since they kind of mean different things. And we'll look at the impact and the causes of these factors, global warming. We'll also look at and we learn to understand the nature of scientific evidence regarding climate change, to comprehend the Kyoto Protocol and a different perspective in Canada related to other countries around the world, and to appreciate Canada's role in a global context as contributor to both change and challenges, and to find a solution as well. So again, that's the direction we're headed into today's class. For your success criteria, hopefully by the end of today's class, you can say that I can explain ways to reduce climate change, okay? Or I can find ways or strategies to reduce climate change within my community, okay? That's our goal for today. So again, we're focused on climate change and global warming for today's class. So again, like I said, we're starting on page number 60. We'll first talk about the environment and the 4 components of the environment. Again, this is simply all in your textbook. Again, the 4 components of the environments are the atmosphere, which is simply the air that we breathe, the hydrosphere, which is any sources of water or bodies of water, and the lithosphere, which is the Earth's crust, simply the land that we live on, and finally, for the biosphere, any living organisms such as plants, animals, and us people. What's unique and awesome about these 4 components is that all of them interconnect and relate to one another. You cannot have one without the other in a way. So for example, a bird, which is a biosphere, since it's a living organism, it flies through the atmosphere, which is the air, and it drinks water, which is the hydrosphere. Okay, you see that connection between how, in a way, all 4 components link to one another. Again, another example could be a tree, which is a biosphere. It grows on the lithosphere, which is the Earth's crust, which is the land that we live on, and it needs the hydrosphere, which is water, to grow to be big and strong. Again, hopefully you can see that connection between all 4 components. What we what we need to emphasize, remember, are just simply the names of each one. So again, make note of the hydrosphere, atmosphere, lithosphere, and a biosphere, and what each one stands for. Okay, how they link. So again, air, water, Earth's crust, plants, and animals and humans. Okay, that's all we're trying to focus on. There will be a questions on your next assignment that simply just asks what are the four components, other environments, and simply you're just to say the hydrosphere is the air, the hydrosphere is water, the biosphere is plants, animals, humans, etc. Okay, so that's the four components of the environment that makes up the environment that we live on, that we have around us. Okay, the environment is simply just all these components that surrounds us every single day. So how do people impact the environment? Sorry, how do people impact the atmosphere? Okay, we know that the atmosphere is the air that surrounds us. So how do we impact the air that we breathe or the air around us? So for example, carbon dioxide is released from burning fossil fuel. These gases get trapped, which causes the earth to warm up. And this natural phenomenon is known as global warming slash and climate change, give or take. Okay, so again, we have a car. Imagine a car or a truck in your community. We drive it a lot. Okay, but think bigger picture. Think more people, more cars. Think of traffic jams. If you know what a traffic jam looks like, especially in Southern Ontario. Again, when we have more cars driving and more factories, we create a lot of more carbon dioxide, a lot and other substance and chemicals. All this gets released into our atmospheres, and they get simply get trapped, which causes the Earth to warm up at a faster increased rate than normally. Again, this can be known as global warming and climate change. We'll discuss these two terms and see how they simply mean something different. So what is global warming? Again, may have read it on newspaper, on articles in journals, and heard it on the news. But what is global warming? Global warming is simply the media, okay? The media, okay? So again, what's out there from other sources. It addresses change only in the average surface temperature. It does not address the weather condition or becoming wetter or drier. This misunderstanding is the warming throughout the world, and it simply is not really correct. Okay, it's not that correct. So basically, global warming is said by the media, and it says that the whole Earth's surface is getting warmer, which is not necessarily the case for all areas. So again, it's kind of misunderstanding. Global warming is complex. Again, based on what I just read, it is really a complex issues, and it's always changing. People's understanding is poor based on the cause and effects. The media provide false and incorrect information and misleading information as well. Again, we may not necessarily believe all the things we read or hear. So again, all that needs to be taken into account. Again, false informations are out there. So again, we need to do deeper research to see what's actually true. Uncertainties exist regardless almost every aspect of global change, and it is increasing. Like random stats, variables of nature, lack of understanding, and scientific data. Okay, so again, it could be true to some extent, but it's not happening everywhere around the world. Again, we get false information all the time. People believe it which leads to misunderstanding. So again, always make sure we ask questions. If we're unsure, we should do research, ask questions to make sure if they are true or not. But again, we should not always believe what we hear on the media. Same thing goes for social media. Again, everything gets published easily nowadays. So again, make note to see whether it's correct or incorrect information of our understanding. Which leads to climate change. What is climate change? Well, climate is a natural variable. It is never exact the same from one period to another. Over the past 100 years, the Earth's climate is warming up uh, about 0.6 degrees Celsius at the end of the 20th century than it was at the beginning. The 1990s was the hottest decade in the last 140 years. Climate change is now being a scientifically established fact. Okay, so it is true. Okay, so again, whether or not you believe it or not, whether it's happening, climate change is happening. Okay, the care of the future children and generation requires action now. So again, because it is a fact, it's been proven, we have data and evidence, which I'll share on the next slide, I believe. We need to do something now so that we can protect, preserve, and take care of future generation. There is danger that exists with climate change. So again, actions need to be happening right now. Not tomorrow, not the next day, but right now as we speak. We don't know all the probability of such losing and timing. We don't know how long it's going to last or such impact with speed caused by greenhouse gases. Again, climate change is defined as a long-term shift in alternating in the climate in specific location, region, or entire planet. Again, not all countries or regions are experiencing climate change, but some are, most are, and it happens at different speed, at different rate. Okay, for example, wind patterns, precipitation, temperature, wind patterns, wind speed, and direction are all taken into account when we're looking at and discussing climate change. So again, it is a fact, a scientifically established fact that climate change is happening. Okay, our planet is getting warmer as we speak, but we don't know how fast it is happening. Okay. Don't believe me? Well, here are some evidence that are in your textbook and I have gathered from other sources as well. The world has been warming with the average global temperature at the Earth's surface about 0.6 degrees. Doesn't sound a lot, but stretch that out into long-term range, it has an impact. Greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and probably so much more have been rising for several decades. Okay, glaciers have lost mass, then have gained. In many areas of the world, reduced snow cover has been documented. Okay, here in Silica, that could be a perfect example. So, for example, here in Silica, this past November was super tropical. Well, I shouldn't use the word tropical, but it has been much warmer or nice compared to others. We did not have much snow. It wasn't that cold as well. So again, that could be evidence of climate change, especially in colder northern regions such as us here in northwestern Ontario and our communities up north. Rise in sea levels has threatened shorelines, a part of the ecozones. So again, it doesn't just impact us, but it impacts trees and other animals as well. There are barriers against shorelines, erosions. Beaches are being exposed by erosions, by the waves. Groundwater are more likely to become more contaminated by salt water, and roads and buildings are at risk due to flooding and damages. Again, some of these depend on which area we live around the world. So again, take that all into account. But again, it has been recorded. There has been evidence. All of these are happening nowadays. So think back into your community, students. Can you think of any examples that you have seen that can relate to climate change? Okay. Any of these factors ring a bell? Have you seen these factors in your communities? So again, it could be much warmer in your community. Again, all of this could be a factor. Again, the biggest example that I can think of is simply looking at snow. Okay, is there a lot of snow in your community? Has there been a lot of snowstorms, ice storms so far in the past couple of years? Do you notice any patterns, any changes? Again, those could be factors due to climate change. Again, you have maybe asked, why is this all happening, Jonathan? Why is this all taking place? Again, naturally, it's happening. Human impact has happened. We talked about how we impact the air. Again, driving a lot of cars, factories, especially in urban setting. All of these factors, even though this may seem small, all play out in the long run. So what can we do? This all sounds absolutely terrible. I don't like the sound of what is happening to our planet, our communities, our cities and towns. What can we do? What should we do? What should our country and nations do to help fix this? Well, internationally around the world, back in 1997, a lot of countries gathered around in Japan where they set up this organization, this protocol known as Kyoto. Okay, the Kyoto Protocol, where again Canada and other countries gather to discuss about global warming and climate change. Okay, again, we're not the only ones to notice that these are happening. Everyone around the world has some sort of impact due to global warming and climate change. So what happened was that the Kyoto Protocol, came into effect. And simply its goal was to have mandatory cuts on greenhouse gases, emissions, and reinforce regulations committed to cleaner air. They want to reduce their overall emissions such as gases by at least 5% below what it was in 1990 in a level committed between the periods of 2008 and 2012. Again, this is now completed. I believe Canada has now withdrawn from the Kyoto Protocol. We did not, I believe, officially meet our goal of reducing by 5%. Again, even if we did meet our goal, it was only a small step forward in terms of reducing these factors. Again, some countries agreed upon this agreement and some didn't. For example, the United States and I believe China did not sign upon. Okay, it's really hard to get everyone committed when not everyone is collaborating, especially when bigger countries such as the United States and China, who produce a lot of greenhouse gases, are not committed to this protocol, Kyoto. The United States felt that they would find alternative means to help combat global warming, and they simply felt that Kyoto Protocol would cost them lots and millions in terms of jobs. So again, they decided to have their own approach. I believe it was through technologies and other means. But again, it's hard to join if countries such as the United States does not join. So again, the key point here is we're having a step in the right direction. Something did take place out of Kyoto Protocol. A lot of countries did take part in this, but some didn't. Again, we want to try to reduce as much greenhouse gases as possible so that we can reduce and protect our planet. So how does climate affect us? Okay, well, it impacts us based on the food we eat, the food that we can grow, clothing, types of shelter we live and build, and other values and lifestyle. Okay, so again, if it's much warmer than usual, we can grow more fruits and vegetables in agriculture, which is awesome because we now have more to eat. Clothing, again, depending on what the weather's like, we may be wearing sunglasses, t-shirts, flip-flops instead of a toque, gloves, snow pants, long johns, heavy boots. Again, all those come into play as well. In terms of housing in our communities, again, if it's super cold, minus 40, you may need to turn on the heat, which wastes a lot of energy and hydro, which raises up our hydro bill. But if it's much warmer, again, we might need to buy an air condition or a fan to keep us cool, eat some ice cream, drink lots of water. Again, all those come into play. And our values and lifestyle. Again, if it's getting warmer, how can we go tubing? How can we go skiing? How can we go snowboarding, ice fishing? All those things that we love to do with snow or colder temperature. Okay, again, all those take into account. Okay, just keep that in mind. Again, we all have different values and activities that we enjoy, but again, some of it have been gained, some of it may be lost, depending on what we do. The pros and cons of climate change. Before we look at that, human actions are causing climate change to be more quicker than ever before. So again, because of our actions, all this is happening much faster than ever before. All right, pros and cons of climate change. It's not all bad. There are some good that comes out of climate change. Uh, but let's look at them closely. We'll start off at the pros, then we'll look at the cons. So, what are the actual benefits of climate change? Well, frozen area in northern areas such as Siberia, the Arctic region, and even Antarctica experience milder climate and more plant growth than ever before. Again, could be a plus because they be having more agriculture. Again, warmer climate could be great as well. Longer growing seasons, again, that kind of impacts us here in Canada, which is seen great. Again, if it's much milder than before, we can have longer growing seasons, which means that we can have more food as well. Again, especially great for farmers with warmer, longer growing seasons. However, as you can see, there are more negatives than positive due to climate change. For example, higher sea level leads to flooding, deserts get drier, leads to food shortage, more illness, which leads to disease and even death. So again, heat stroke, heat exhaustion impacts the youth and the elders can come into play. More extreme weather and storms. Again, whether or not we have more blizzards here in Silica, more dumping of snow, but definitely other countries around the world may have experience such as a tsunami or hurricane, earthquake, all those come into play. Heat wave, again, I was back home in Southern Ontario this past summer and it was absolutely just smoking hot. Again, lots of heat wave. Again, that could be an impact due to climate change. Yeah, it may sound great that it's getting warmer or not be having longer winter seasons, but it impacts our summer as well as it gets more humid out and it gets much hotter out as well. More pollution, again, not cool. We'll talk more about that next class when we look at pollution and conservations. Climate change doesn't just impact us, but it impacts our wildlife, our animals, species, and plants as well. Some animals and plants may become extinct. For example, polar bears, marine-based animals may have impact where they have to be relocated to a different area to support their needs. For those in Fort Severn, has anyone seen a polar bear? When I went there last year, I didn't see any polar bears. Uh, I was really hoping, excited to see one, but apparently it wasn't the right season to see a polar bear. Disappearance in national and provincial parks as well. Again, that goes all and back towards our resource management strategies, how we need to protect, maintain, and have sustainable living as well. So again, a lot of things come into play. We're looking at climate change. A lot of negatives come into play. So again, not cool. Something needs to be done. So what can we do? Again, we looked at the components of the environment, the cause and effect of global warming and climate change. We looked at the definitions and terms of global warming and climate change. We looked at international involvement and contribution towards a solution, such as the Kyoto Protocol. But what can we do as a class, as individuals, as citizens in our communities and society? What can we do to help reduce climate change? There are lots that we can do. Okay, there's lots that we can do starting right now at this moment. Okay, it doesn't have to start tomorrow, but we can start right now. One area is known as mitigations, which means that we're taking action to reduce the problem. Okay, so class, are there any actions that we can do together or as individuals to reduce the problems? So for example, we can reduce greenhouse gases. Okay, so how can we reduce greenhouse gases? Well, don't drive as much. Okay, that could be a perfect example as reducing greenhouse gases. Okay, find alternative means such as driving more efficient cars, taking public transit for those in Thunder Bay, riding your scooter, your bike, your rollerblade, carpooling, okay, where if you're all going to the same place, you can all drive together, and walking, okay, and walking. We can switch from fossil fuel to solar energy and wind power. Again, more alternative means for energy. Turn off the lights. Again, if you're not in your room right now, we can simply just turn off the lights and use natural lights. Plant more trees as they absorb greenhouse gases, so trees are great. And simply reduce garbage by simply recycling, reduce, and reuse. Again, nowadays, everything is basically recyclable. Okay, there's not much garbage that we can use. Okay, so compost, recycle, everything can be reduced, reused, and recycled. Again, all these small things will have a huge impact down the road. So again, keep that in mind. Are any of these examples that you can do in your community? Well, you can't have public transit because I know that's not available. It's only there for those in Thunder Bay. Here, even here in Silicon, we don't have public transit. So again, all these small things can be taken into account. Another factor is adaptation, where we adapt to a change or we change or adjust to the new situation. So we must change our mindset and just simply accept that climate change is happening. Again, there's still lots out there that don't believe it's actually happening. Well, it is, so we need to change our mindset. So, and again, in a way, we need to kind of take advantage of this new situation. So, for once again, for example, we can grow crops in new climate. We can expand healthcare and treat health problems caused by the weather because we know it's actually happening. So again, have more doctors or clinics out there, have more cooling off stations, build more parks, space to cool off. All those again can be taken into account. So again, there are lots that we can do to reduce climate change. Can anyone think of other examples that we can add? Okay, simply just walk in. Okay, we don't have to drive to our learning center. We can just walk. All those things are taken into account. And finally, for government and businesses involvement, again, anyone can take part. Not just citizens and people, but again, our company, our school, our government, companies, everyone can have a huge role in reducing energy and climate change. Again, increased energy efficient standards, encourage the use of renewable energy. Again, we'll talk more about that next class, such as solar power and wind power. And we want to protect and restore our forests as well. So again, everyone can take part, not just you and I, not just our class, but everyone. Okay, everyone. Are there any questions in regards to what we just talked about? Again, I noticed that there's no one on Smart Bridget, no one called in, but that's okay as well. I know it's still pretty early. Again, some learning center are not even open yet at this time. So again, I understand that. So let's get to your next assignment. Assignment number 14 is out of 15 marks. Again, we're looking at your assignments. Let's go back and look at our some of our success criteria that I wrote way back in the day. Hopefully it will help. So again, remember to be motivated. Remember to take responsibility for your learning. Again, seek assistance when required. Again, let me know. Okay, I'm here to help. Let me know if you need any help. If you're stuck on something, if something's bothering you, let us know. We'll do our best to modify and accommodate as best as we can so that you can be successful as well. Yeah, we don't know unless you tell us. Okay. I know we don't see face to face every single day. Again, this is through distance education. We're trying to help all those in our communities. But again, just let us know what we can do here at WASO to help your learning. So again, if you're stuck, if you're discouraged, don't feel that way. We're here to help. I'm here to help as well. Oh, here we go. Write an expectation for your assignments and your success criteria. Again, when completing your assignments, make sure you're being clear and precise. Okay? Most of the time, I understand where you're going, you're on the right track, but be clear, be precise. Give examples if you have to. Okay? Okay? Use examples from your community, from your own experience, lives, all those come into play as well. Full complete sentences, well structured, detailed answer with supporting facts and evidence. Check for spelling and grammar. Again, we're always trying to improve our literacy and how we articulate our understandings. Again, be neat and be legible as well. Okay, so again, small things that we all can do to be successful. This is your checklist. This is your self-assessment. So before you submit any assignments, make sure you go through some of these points. Hopefully you have hit them. If you do, you will get full marks. And then I'll know that you're on the right track and that you'll be ready for your final assessment and your test or your exam. Again, class, for all PLAR students, your final test, your final exam at the end is the one that counts the most. So again, all of these assignments, they do count to an extent. They're just mainly an indication to me to make sure that you're on the right track, progressing well, and that you not have any difficulties and problems. Okay, so by you completing all these assignments and doing fairly well, it shows me that you're putting in a great effort, you're doing hard work, you're trying your hardest, and that when it's time to write your test and when you're ready, I know that you won't have any problems. Okay, or you shouldn't have any problems, I should say. So assignment 14, question number 1, describe and name the 4 components of the environment. Again, we talked about it. What are they? Okay. Okay, you can start by saying the 4 components of the environments are, and simply list them, and then you can explain them. Question number 2, what does global warming mean? Okay, what does it mean? And why should we be concerned about it? Okay, so again, you can simply say that global warming, okay, is what? Again, is how the media portrays informations that states that our planet has increased in temperature due to increased amount rate of greenhouse gases. Okay, we should be concerned because why should we be concerned? Okay, it impacts based on our values, what we wear. It can has increase in terms of severe weather, storms. Okay, all those come into effect and impact and affects our environment. So again, I'm looking for a lot of details for this answers out of 5 marks. Question number 3, name the agreement that has been drafted by international community to address global warming situation, and what is it designed to accomplish, and what is holding it back from enforcing it. Again, the Kyoto Protocol, what is it? Why they kind of assigned to it? What was the goal of the Kyoto Protocol? And why wasn't it so really effective? Which country didn't assign to it? Which country didn't agree to it? And why? Okay, and why did that they didn't want to sign on to it? And lastly, what can we do as individuals or as together to reduce global warming? There are lots, okay? There's many things that we can do to reduce global warming. Just name a few examples that helps reduce it, okay? So again, you can use all the information in your textbook. Again, we simply just cover page 60, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I pretty much just summarize it into all those little notes as well. So again, make sure you go back, check out all the details in your textbook, other examples and evidence in there as well. So again, we do have a bit of time left in class live right now. So again, this is the perfect time to work on your assignment. This is the perfect time to ask any questions. Again, I'll be here online for the next few more minutes if anyone has any questions. Okay, but again, just let us know if you have any difficulties with your assignments. Let me know how you're progressing. Again, refer to your checklist as well. But again, hopefully you can complete all your assignments as soon as you can. Again, this is week 7 of this term. We're almost done. Okay, we're almost done. Again, just a reminder, uncertain in terms of what community visits will be unfolding like for myself. Again, supposed to be going to Big Trout, but again, due to unfortunate circumstances, Doug and I are unable to come at the moment. Maybe we'll try again next week. If we're not able to, perhaps next term. But again, make sure you check out that as well. Again, for Mish, again, Barry and I are supposed to go, but again, Barry's not feeling the greatest. So again, we might try to go later this week, perhaps on Thursday or Friday, give or take. We'll see how things go. If not, we still have next week as well. But again, Big Trout and Mish are my scheduled community visits. It's supposed to be happening. Hopefully, we can get that done and completed very, very soon as well. For all those students who have all completed your assignments, whether it's history and geography for PLAR, let me know when you're ready to write your tests. Talk to your DC, set up a time, a date that works best for everyone. I will fax it over, I will email it over. That way you can write your final assessment as well. So again, let me know when you're ready, and I'll get that all set up for you as well. If you're not sure what you're missing and what you need left, again, let me know. Give me a call. I'll go through my spreadsheet, go through all my data, and see what you need left. If you still need to do that assignment, this assignment, if you need to redo anything, again, just let me know. We can clarify that up as well. So next class on Thursday, here live once again, we'll talk about pollution. That is our focus for next class. We're looking at pollution. Okay, what is pollution? How do we define pollution? And we'll look at different types of resources, such as renewable and non-renewable. Again, we'll look at conservations. And that's pretty much it for next class. Okay, so again, not a huge lesson next class.